We had a mystery on our hands this week. We are crewmates of the Envisioneer. We look for ancient treasure. Someone stole a piece of a missing map. Today you will hear evidence collected against Dr. Smart and Neff.
For medicine, I made the lung model because Chef Stewart was having problems breathing from the shipwreck. I made it using one balloon, one cup balloon, a straw, and clay to hold the straw. I used the lung model to learn how the lungs work. Dr. Smart helped us, but now we know he did the crime. He might have been trying to make it seem that he is not guilty.
In STEM, I did the splints to put on the splint. To put the splint on, first you have to wrap the splint around the area, then wrap the cloth around it, and you have a splint.
I made a robot and it is fun. I drove it around to find missing people from a shipwreck. We also built a bridge to get the food supply. Here is the robot. And here is the bridge. Ness and Young were trapped on an island. We programmed the robot to save them. We used voice control and recovered Young and Ness.
I chose the engineering thing because of the robot. We built the robot so we can find missing people. The people were missing because of a shipwreck, and the robots couldn't survive the storm, so we had to build a bridge. We actually, because of the robots, we're actually going home because of the robots.
I made a robot because it looked cool and the rest of the class was doing the same thing. I followed the instructions and built it. The robots need to save the people because it's too dangerous for humans. And he's a robot.
In engineering, we made an M-bot to help us find the missing people on the shipwreck. And we did it because it was too dangerous for humans to survive on the island, searching around by themselves. We also needed to build a bridge for the robots since there was a storm and it flooded. This is a truss bridge. It is a strong form of a bridge.
I created a robot and it was so cute. I named it Simbi because why not? It has huge eyes, what makes it so cute. I built it with different screws, batteries, and other things I don't know.
Dr. Smart diagnosed heart failure and we examined the calf heart. We found the left ventricle. We could stick our finger through it and we cut it in half. We talked about the smell for a second and then we cut it in half. When we did the snake bite, we had to discuss all the facts. If you get bit by a snake, here's what you should do. Take off rings, watches, and keep sight of the bite below the heart. Remain calm, call 911, move away slowly. Do not suck venom out by mouth. Don't give the person alcohol or caffeine. Now I will show you an experiment. Take 2 cups and put lemonade in one cup and milk in the other, and put a little bit of lemonade in the milk, and it shows you of a blood clot.
Young was bitten by a hemotoxic Malayan picked by the snake. We mix milk and lemon juice together. It's called coloring. There is a hemotoxic snake that affects the blood, and a neurotoxin that infects the nose. It can make you blind.
Blood was found at the crime scene. 3 people were injured, and we dropped blood from 12 inches, 66 inches, and 22 inches to see whose blood it was. We found out after we did all of our tests that it was Shipwright Neff's blood.
Show you the blood splatter analysis, which is an important part of the story, so we can see who the blood fell from. So to inform you, Sydney Young had a cut on her shin, Neff had one on his head, Dr. Smart had one on his hand, and Last Potter had it on his leg. Okay, back to the story. We dropped blood from 3 different heights, and we compared it to the ones found at the crime, and we found out it was Neff, but later in the video you will see who helped him steal the map.
Why I chose blood splatter is because I wanted to learn about the blood found at the crime scene. One person got a bruise on their head and another person had a bruise on their shin and hand. Dr. Smart was guilty. And how we found blood splatter is we measured the height 12, 30, and 66 to compare it to the blood found at the crime scene.
There were 3 people injured on the ship. Young on his shin, Neff on his head, and Dr. Smart on his hand. So then we thought that one of them might be a suspect of stealing the missing map. So we made our own blood drops. We dropped them from a 12-inch height, a 33-inch height, and a 66-inch height. And then after that, once they dried, we looked at the blood drop found at the scene of the crime. And it turns out it was a 66-inch drop. And Neff was injured on his head, so it would have to be 66 inches. So Neff was found at the scene of the crime.
This is the blood found at the crime scene. This is the blood dropped at 12 inches, and I measured it 9, 12, and 11 inches. That is the blood drop from 30 inches. This is the blood drop from 66 inches.
In CSI, we analyzed fingerprints to find out who was working with Neff and did the crime. We took cocoa powder and dusted it on the fingerprints on a cup that we found at the crime scene, and we found out that it was Dr. Nicholas Smart's fingerprints. We also found a mysterious powder that was at the crime scene that Dr. Smart was using as a skin cream, and it was cornstarch. And that's how we found out who did the crime and stole the missing map.